Hey, Haribo.
Hi, Haribo. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm really good. So happy to be here with you.
Yeah, it's so nice that you're
I'm
in the outdoors, in a garden or in a park
I'm in
nearby.
our backyard.
Oh, that's so
I'm actually
beautiful.
not in New York City with Vera right now. I'm
It's
down in
amazing.
Florida with my family. So
Lucky you.
definitely grateful to get to be surrounded by this and these incredible flowers
Wow, so
that
pretty.
are blossoming right now.
So nice. So nice to be with you. I'm so grateful that you've taken time out from uh,
Aw,
being there for your son, being there for your family, and spending time with us to share some nuggets of wisdom and anything that you feel that will really inspire us at this time. So thank you so much. Deeply
yeah, thank
grateful.
you. Thank you for inviting me. Feel
For
super
those,
honored.
yeah, it's a real pleasure and real honor. And for those of you that are tuning in, do let us know where you're tuning in from, what you've been doing today so far. I'm pretty sure that from wherever you guys are tuning in, hopefully the weather's going to be nice and beautiful like here is in London.
Hi,
Um,
Monique.
yeah, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys taking time out to be with us. So, for those of you that don't know Diana, you've probably been hiding under a rock because she is well famous and internationally acclaimed for sharing holistic gems of advice and in several different spheres, be it yoga, be it Ayurveda, be it in parenting. I'm avidly watching everything you're doing for the future for myself as well. So I'm really blessed to be able to share this opportunity to have a conversation with you. And today we decided on a topic on rituals for happiness. And this is such a broad topic, so many different things that we could talk about. But I wanted to see just to start whether you had any thoughts in terms of tips and tricks for well-being of the mind, well-being of the
Mm.
body, anything that comes to mind or anything that's inspiring you in that sphere of thought.
Yeah, I mean, so much. I think with a background in yoga and Ayurveda, we all know where real happiness comes from,
Mm,
and I think we're all experiencing so much with what's happening in the world right now that so many of our pursuits of happiness are crumbling. If
mm,
we thought that our happiness was in some business that we were building or some amount of money that we had in our bank account or and even like what we look like or something external. Oftentimes we link our happiness to something outside of us being a certain way that I wanted it
mm,
to be, that I'm happy. But then when it's not that way, all of a sudden I'm sad. And so many of our pursuits of happiness are so circumstantial, which means that it's
mm,
not going to last because the circumstances are always changing. And so we know that the foundation of happiness, like where we have to seek our happiness, and hopefully what this whole pandemic is urging us towards is seeking happiness from within. And when we
mm,
connect to that reservoir of happiness that's always available, we can actually experience lasting happiness, regardless of what the circumstance is. And so
wow.
we know that because of the teachings, which, of course, it takes study, spiritual discipline, and practice to be able to turn inward where there's so many shiny objects outside of me that I'm so drawn to and attracted to. But to know, like, actually, my real happiness doesn't come from status or likes or followers. Like, my real happiness has to come from inside if I'm seeking a happiness that's lasting, which we all are.
Mm,
We all want that happiness.
mm,
So, of course, spiritual discipline, spiritual practice is the one thing that can really help us to connect to that. And I know that sometimes that can feel really, really hard, especially if we're feeling really anxious or depressed or fearful. It can be really hard to sit and close our eyes and try to connect because all we hear are these thoughts that keep on going, especially if we're really, really struggling. And so
mm,
I found that oftentimes a very tangible way to begin to quiet the mind is first to work from the outside in rather than trying to work from the inside out. And so
wow.
practices like taking a bath, taking a warm bath with Epsom salts and essential oils. One thing, if you know about Ayurveda, is that's really soothing and grounding for a very active and
Mm,
restless mind. And also, for right now, we need things that boost our immunity. And so Epsom salts help to circulate the lymphatic system. And then after the bath, I feel more settled and calm and connected. So maybe then I feel like it'll be easier to sit down and meditate. And so there's different practices that are more tangible that I
mm,
feel like we can use right now, because we need things that immediately speaking we can feel the benefits of. Where sometimes I
mm,
can sit down and meditate And, I pray I can feel better afterwards, but sometimes my mind is just so
Yeah,
active the entire time. So I don't actually feel that deeper connection. But doing self massage, taking baths, dry skin brushing, using essential oils, these things that we can actually use the outside world to help us stabilize. And then from that more steady place, deepen into our practice. I've found that super helpful
yeah.
in these past weeks, in these past years.
Beautiful. And it's so true that what you're saying that, sometimes when it comes to spiritual practice, even though we know most of the people that are tuning in must have or may have tried a spiritual practice perhaps, and sometimes that maybe doesn't have instant effects in calming the mind, in making sure that we feel comfortable in our own skin and our own mind at this time. And so it's so beautiful to hear you speak about the things that we can do that do release some tension, perhaps some anxiety, just
Hmm.
something as simple as just taking a warm bath, and it's something that I haven't tried yet. So this is perfect for me. I'm gonna maybe in the evening, maybe not now, because
Amazing.
I'm in the middle of my day. So maybe in the evening. Is that a good idea in the evenings, or is it
Oh
just
yeah,
specified in the?
especially to wind down before bed. If
Mm,
anybody's experiencing any insomnia or restlessness at night, to do
mm.
practices like that in the evening can be really, really supportive and really, really helpful.
Wow. And are there any
Yeah.
kind of foods that you suggest as well? Because I know that Ayurveda has it's a holistic approach to living. Are there
Yeah.
any foods that maybe we should avoid? Any foods that we should particularly try and consume during this time?
Yeah, I mean, in Ayurveda, it's such an individualized science, and so it's really based on the person, the body type, the constitution, the season, and people tuning in
Mm,
from all over the world. We're all kind of experiencing different things right now.
yeah.
But depending on what symptoms you're experiencing, if you are experiencing more anxiety and fear, focus on, like, if we think of anxiety, fear, they're really light emotions. It's like I'm feeling ungrounded, disconnected, out of my body almost. And so things that help to ground you, to stabilize, like warm soups, using more ghee or oils on whatever it is that you're eating, more cooked food instead of raw food,
Mm,
avoiding things like caffeine that also make us feel more light and restless and anxious. Even things like chocolate or too much sugar, which can be very stimulating, processed sugars. But if you are feeling anxiety and fear, like natural sugars, it's good news. They do help to ground you and nourish you. And so focus on what nourishes you right now if you are feeling those emotions. But if you are feeling the more heavy emotions like depression, kind of dull or stagnant energy, kind of like an inability to move or just feeling a lot more sluggish or tired, then you will want to kind of move more towards foods that are lighter and more uplifting. Yeah, some more raw foods if your digestion is strong enough to process them.
mm.
Yeah, but things that are easy to digest but lighter.
Wow,
If
these are
you're
great
feeling
tips.
that. Awesome. Glad it can be a little
I mean, if
helpful
there's
for
any
you.
questions that you guys have, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. Like she said, like Dhyana mentioned, that this is very personalized and very individual. And it's not that every case it's not one size fits all kind of suggestions. So if there are any questions that you perhaps have that are pertaining to your lifestyle, to your particular condition, if you don't want to share them publicly, that's fine. Also, you can maybe even drop her a direct message, and I'm sure
Yeah,
she'll
I'm
be happy
happy
to
to
help.
support you all during this time for sure. I know we all
Uh,
need to feel supported, so I'm here
Yeah,
for you.
that's for sure. And it's also so nice to hear the birds kind of just singing in the
Ah,
background. It's
there's
grounding.
something about that that's very soothing. Yeah, being in
Yeah.
nature right now is incredible medicine because when we're in nature, like we are part of nature. Our bodies are comprised of the same elements that make up everything else around me. And so when
Mm,
we enter into a very natural environment, our body finds its natural state, its balance. And so if you can, even if you're in New York City, you can go on the rooftop, look at the sky, find some nature in your life. That's great, great medicine.
phenomenal. Do you have like a daily ritual perhaps that, or a daily schedule of things that you have to do in order to feel more you, or that helps you to kind of feel more grounded that perhaps you can share that some of us can try out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's changed quite a bit since I've had my little man because
I can imagine.
he is my master. I am just my day is really spent serving him and his
Wow.
needs.
Wow.
But every day I do, since it's springtime here in Ayurveda, it's known as kapha season, which is a time where people tend to get more sick. There's like the more heavy congestion, coughs, colds,
Mm,
and things like that. And so to bring some lightness into the day, I start with dry skin brushing. And I've been using essential oils, especially rosemary. It really helps to move the lymphatic system. And for those of you that don't know, our lymphatic system won't move by itself. It doesn't have its own pump.
Mm.
So in order to move the lymphatic system, which is basically our immunity, in Ayurveda, our immunity is said to be our health. That's the reservoir of our health. We have to move it. So whether that's through dry skin brushing, self-massage, exercise, we have to move our lymph every day in order to maintain our immunity.
Mm.
And so I start with that. I do a warm oil massage. And, you know, for so long that felt like so unattainable to me. Like, how could you massage yourself every day? That's like,
Right.
it's so luxurious. How could I
Yeah, I'm just
possibly
going
do
through that
that?
right now in my head. While I'm
Yeah.
hearing you say that, I'm just thinking, that sounds like luxury, like I've got my own
Yeah.
spa
Like,
at home.
how do I have time to do that? And
Right, right,
my dad's an Ayurvedic doctor. And for so much of my life,
right.
he would urge me to do that. And I was like, come on, like, who has time for that?
And he
But
also
after going
practices
to
every day?
every day, yeah. And
Wow.
every night he massages his feet before going to sleep,
Wow.
which is very grounding and stabilizing. But what helped me, I mean, it's a long story, so I'm not going to get into that right now, but
Mm.
just to know that it can literally be 5 minute rubbing oil on your body, long strokes on the long bones, circles around the joints. It can be 5 minutes if that's all you have. It can be 20 minutes if you do want more of a luxurious spa experience. I do have a tutorial video on my Instagram, so if anybody is
Oh.
interested in learning how to do self-massage, and I also have another video on the benefits of self-massage. And so please look into it. It's really such an amazing practice. Will
Mm.
help you. They say that when you do self massage daily, you start to exude the energy of somebody who is deeply loved. And hopefully, we
Wow.
all know what that feels like, that feeling of being deeply loved, you know,
Wow.
by somebody else, like that feeling of being nourished and nurtured and cherished. And so we begin
Mm.
to exude that energy in our life, which means other people start to feel that energy too. And so not only are you serving yourself, but your entire family will start to feel that. And
Wow.
for me, it's such a nourishing practice, which allows me to feel like my cup is full. So I can show up and serve my son all day without feeling depleted. So I can show up and connect with my students online. So I can keep showing up without feeling exhausted. You know, and they
Right.
say oftentimes, you know, becoming a mother that you'll start to feel totally exhausted and depleted. I mean, knock on wood, I definitely attribute it to my daily self massage. I haven't felt that fatigue
Wow.
or exhaustion of motherhood, even though I haven't slept through the night in 6 months now.
Wow.
But I really, really like it's so nourishing in so many levels. So check out those videos if you can. And
Wow.
we all have, most of us have more time now. And so to start practices like this can be really, really beneficial.
Beautiful. I mean, so true what you're speaking about, that this self-nourishment, it's a common understanding that if you want to be able to give something, you need to be able to have a full cup before you share it with others.
Yeah.
But I never attributed it, self-massage, to being something that would nourish me. And so I'm going to try it out. I don't know about everyone else that's watching. So
Yeah.
throw some hands up or throw some thumbs up if you're going to try it out with me. Just
Yeah.
wanted to see if there's any questions. Kanista3 says, thank you for doing this live. How do you stay grounded and with practice while watching children? For example, I have a 1-year-old and practicing is challenging when moving or when watching her majority of the day.
That is an awesome question, and
Yeah.
I talk about it often. How motherhood is a very vata aggravating lifestyle, which means it can be very, very ungrounding, destabilizing. How do you have any kind of routine or anything?
Mm,
Like, yeah, the amount of times that I'm just like eating cold food because I don't have time to warm it up, or eating standing up because he's not happy sitting down, which these are all things that are very ungrounding and destabilizing.
right.
So again, it's having these non-negotiable grounding practices in my life, like self-massage. Just making sure you have, again, even 5 minutes in the day before your shower. Watch those videos; you'll learn the how to do that. And then the types of food that I'm eating are the more grounding, nourishing foods. So I'm not eating a lot of raw foods. I'm not drinking caffeine. I'm not basically I'm not adding to those ungrounding things like in my
Mm,
diet and lifestyle. Diet and lifestyle is basically everything when it comes to Ayurveda.
wow. And actually,
And
following
so
on from that question, someone's actually asked about that. What is a good alternative to morning fresh coffee? It's a very difficult drug intoxicant to drop.
it's
Um,
so true.
yeah.
Got all these habits that we have. I mean, Ayurveda, it's actually said, everything is Ayurvedic because Ayurveda is really the study of all matter and
Mm,
understanding how it affects your body, how it affects you. And so, even coffee for somebody who is feeling really dull and heavy and depressed and sluggish and has a lot of mucus and phlegm, a little bit of coffee in the morning could help to dry out the GI tract, so dry out any excess mucus, give you a little energy and stimulation, so then you can go on into your day. So everything can be a medicine, or
mm,
everything can be the cause of disease, depending on why you're using it and how it affects your body. The
yeah.
problem is when these things become habits, when they become, you wake up every morning and have even if you're feeling really heavy and lethargic, you have a big cup of coffee with lots of heavy cream and lots of sugar, just because that's what you do every day and that's what you think that you need to feel energized. And so, what Ayurveda really urges us towards is like, wake up and drop in, what do I need right now? What do I actually need to support me in feeling balanced?
Mm,
And then, looking at the qualities. If you're feeling heavy, you need something that's light. And if you're feeling really dry, you need something that's moisturizing or moist. So look at the qualities of what you're feeling. And then the medicine is whatever will be the antidote to that, whatever is the opposite of,
mm,
what you're needing to
yeah.
balance.
Becoming attentive in
Um,
one sense.
yeah, I mean,
Mm,
I know that if you have a strong addiction to coffee, if you have a strong addiction to anything, it takes a lot of discipline and willpower to break that habit. Even saying like, "Oh, here's a great coffee alternative." Um,
mm.
like, there's like this great brand called Rasa, which has like an adaptogenic coffee taste, but
Oh,
it's all just adaptogens and herbs and things like that. It has that bitter taste, but you might still just want, like, it's that psychological attachment to coffee, that thing that you've had every day. I mean, try the different blends. Sometimes, doing a dry skin brush and self massage will make you feel more nourished, so that you'll lean more into things that will actually nourish you rather than deplete you. Or if you're feeling
mm,
depleted, we tend to go towards things that will deplete us even more. And so nourish yourself in other ways to see if that's a supportive way to, yeah, to fix like us reaching for these things that again will bring us a temporary kind of
fix.
band-aid
Yeah,
to the lasting happiness that we're actually looking for, because coffee won't give us that. It'll give us that instant high and energy, but then we're gonna need something else then
yeah,
once that starts wearing off to give us that feeling again. And
beautiful.
so
So
maybe just
true.
ask yourself, what am I actually needing right now? What will actually nourish me right now? And even if you ask that question every day, just ask yourself, and even if you still go for the coffee, just that moment of self awareness will be really, really supportive in you changing your long term habits.
Yeah, so true. And such a beautiful way of saying, what is it that I really need right now? Being attentive, being conscious, being aware of the needs of the body. Greta asks, what kind of oil do we use for self-massage? I know you mentioned rosemary, but was there any particular brand or any particular
Yeah,
type of oils?
rosemary is generally the essential oil that I'll put on my dry skin brush. But
Mm-hmm.
the general rule of thumb for what oil to use for your massage is, if it's cool where you are, if it's cold, use sesame oil, which is very warming. If it's really hot where you are, or the summer months, use coconut oil, which is more cooling. Of
Okay.
course, there's different websites. My dad has amazing oils, ayurvedahealthretreat.com, where you can order these blends of oils that have all sorts of herbs that are really nourishing for your tissues. Also, banyanbotanicals.com have amazing oils.
Banyan
Thank you, Super
Botanicals.
Soul.
Beautiful.
Hi, Vera. My husband just jumped
Hey,
on.
how's it going? We had an awesome talk yesterday on gratitude, envy, and I was watching it back this morning, and I was like, he's so eloquent, so
Oh,
charismatic,
he's
so
amazing.
just mind-blowing. I have to like, you should see my notebook. It's just scribbled with just Vera all over it, and it's so
Oh,
amazing to have this conversation. You're like a power couple. Like amazing that you're both,
no.
affecting change in different areas, and even being able to affect change in the same areas, and sometimes it must overlap. How's it, in
Mm-hmm.
fact, maybe we can get into that a little bit. How's it
Sure.
been sharing a holistic way of living with your husband? Have there been moments where you've found challenging, or would you recommend it to everyone to find a common purpose between couples or between partners?
I feel like for us, it is everything, to have a shared purpose, to
Mm,
have similar values,
mm,
at least to understand each other's values and to be able to support each other in those. Um, yeah, it's amazing because I feel like we each have different kind of toolboxes where we can show up and support each other when needed. And if he's feeling depleted, you know, I pull out my essential oils or my self-care kits. Or if I'm feeling depleted, he reminds me, like, how is your meditation? How is your japa? Are you connecting? And so I feel like to have somebody who shares values and purpose, and to be able to walk together in that way, and just reminding each other and supporting each other in that, is amazing. It's yeah, it's such a gift. It's such a gift. We actually have lives every Wednesday morning where we kind of go into spiritual relationships and how to find that together, and how to support other people and connecting to that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's actually
it's a gift.
phenomenal. I remember the last time I spoke with him, he shared these three C's that people have been going wild about. And the three C's, if I remember correctly, you're going to have to correct me if I get it wrong. Connection to a common purpose. He spoke about communication, and he spoke about community. Having,
Community.
yeah, these three areas. And it's such a nice checklist. I mean, if you guys want to check that out, it's on YouTube. It's all recorded, etc. You can catch that on on YouTube. But it was so nicely, concisely put that you can almost see that what are the areas that I need to perhaps invest more time in when it comes to relationships. Even if it's not a partner, it could be a friend, it could be family, that you need to just check yourself on these three areas. Is there a common connection that I share with that person? Is there something that we can both collectively give to the world, serve the world? And then secondly, looking at community, or looking at the people that you're spending time with, are they in line with your purpose as well? And then the last one was, oh, what did I say?
Communication.
Communication.
Yeah.
And maybe you
And
want to share a little bit about that.
I like the way that you kind of worded the first one, the common purpose and the commitment, really. It's like, what are we committed to together? Because oftentimes in relationships, we think that, like, we're just committed to each other, you know, but then as each one of us keeps changing, it's like, wait a minute, I was committed to you because you acted a certain way, or because you looked a certain way, or because you brought in
Yeah.
a certain amount of money, like, but that's not here anymore. So what are we committed to? And so we
Wow.
feel like it's super important, you know, before, you know, committing or getting married. It's like, what are we committed to through this relationship beyond just each other? It's like, we're committed to growth. We're committed to helping each other uncover, you know, the truth of who we really are. We're helping. I mean, and when there's a deeper commitment than just like, I'm committed to loving you forever, because there are moments when I don't feel like I love you. You know, there are
Yeah.
moments when I don't feel like I want to stick it out, because it'd be so much easier to leave. But it's like, wait, what am I committed to? And it's not a feeling. You know, I'm not committed to promising you that I'm going to feel something for the rest of my life, which so many
Wow.
people in their marriage vows are. That's what they're
Completely.
sharing. But when we're committed to something deeper, it's amazing how the love deepens, you know, and how the love does evolve and keeps growing, because we're working towards something together. And you know, for a lasting relationship, we have to be committed to something that lasts, which, again, we all know the nature of this world is that everything is changing. So we have to be committed to something spiritual together, because that is the only thing that will last when everything else will inevitably change.
Crumble, yeah, or
Yeah.
change, yeah,
Yeah.
so true. And when it comes to spiritual practice, I think that there are so many different people sharing different types of tips when it comes to spiritual practice. And I went to see, was there, I'm sure we share a lot of the same similar practices because we're both Bhakti yogis, we both practice this path of Bhakti. But I wanted to see whether you had any thoughts, or anything that's currently inspiring you, perhaps, anything that you're reading, perhaps, that is really striking a nerve, or something that's maybe it's in your japa practice, or anything that's currently that you're practicing that you'd love to share with us.
Yeah. For me, something that I'm finding really, really valuable is the practice of hearing. So hearing truth every day, because we
Wow.
hear so many things every day. And a lot of it is, you know, for listening to the news, or to movies, or to this or to that. It's stuff that can cause more fear or anxiety or discontent or disconnection. And so a practice of making sure that every day I'm hearing truth. I'm hearing, you know, from great teachers that are sharing deeper truths, spiritual truths that help me feel anchored in a deeper reality than, again, this world that is always changing. And that, for me, you know, even, you know, I listen to my husband does an Instagram live every morning with our friend Doyle. and they talk about, deeper spiritual principles to live by. And this podcast that you're doing, you're helping people connect to something that's real, that will bring that lasting happiness. And so to be able to hear something every day that's true, and not just like somebody's idea, but something that's like anchored in spiritual scripture, helps me to feel anchored and connected, and and the reality of what's actually happening, what's actually valuable in my life. And so to hear truth every day, whether it's, reading the Bhagavad Gita, which my mom reads to us every day, whether it's listening to people who are speaking that are anchored in truth, or even, looking up on YouTube, Radhanath Swami. If those of you, don't have a teacher that you're following, he has amazing lectures that are so easy to listen to and to apply into our lives. So hearing truth every day is something that will help you feel better. It's something that I know for me just anchors and grounds me into, okay, why am I actually here? What am I actually doing?
Wow, I love this point that here's something of truth, anchored in truth, deeper truths every single day. And I wanted to see off the cuff, have you already explored that today? Has there been a chance? I know it's morning time for you, but or maybe yesterday, is there a truth that kind of you wanted to share with us that perhaps would uplift us?
I listened to some of my husband's podcasts this morning. He told all sorts of stories.
You can check that out, by the way, on the Bhakti Center Instagram page. I'm sure it'll still be available for the next 24 hours, so
Yeah, for
please
the
do check
next
that out.
24 hours. My mom read us chapter 1 last night of the Gita, which, those of you that have read the Gita, it's really setting the scene. Really setting the scene of what's happening in all of our lives, And I think, a main little piece of advice that I can give from chapter 1, and really the whole story of the Gita, is to seek shelter. There's going to be moments in our life where we feel like we are not able to come up with an answer, or a way to be, a way to live, a way to act. There's going to be moments when we feel total despair, and unable to even move. And so in those moments, to seek the shelter of those people that we know genuinely care about us, we know have our best interests in mind, and somebody who we trust with our heart to give us guidance that is, again, rooted in something real. And to have, friends like that in our life. And to, right now, because, so much of our association is over the phone or on Zoom, to take the time to keep developing those friendships, those relationships where, that help us feel connected, to have teachers in our lives that inspire us, and then to have teachings that we live by.
I love this point of taking shelter, because I heard this class yesterday. It was a seminar that was speaking about exactly this point of taking shelter. And the point of, one thing that really struck me was this one point of how when a lemon is squeezed, put under pressure, lemon juice comes out. When an orange is squeezed, orange juice comes out. And when we're put under personal pressure, when we're put in times of trial, put in times where we're really having to question our lifestyle, having to question our purpose, having to question what it is that's really meaningful to me. When you are squeezed, what comes out? And where do you take your shelter? Where do you find moments of, do I take shelter in grace? Do I take shelter in divinity? Do I take shelter in my own skills, my own passion? And it's a really interesting question. Why? Because it's not that one is right or wrong, etc. But it does give us some indication perhaps as to why perhaps we're not feeling lasting happiness, why we're feeling only fleeting moments. Because if we're placing our shelter in material or in matter, or in let's give an example. If we're placing our shelter in just our partner, that our partner is going to solve all our problems, or a friend is just going to, when I have one can feel frustrated that, I'm not receiving the reciprocation that I expect in return. Where when it comes to grace, when it comes to divinity, when it comes to God, if we can place our shelter more in those palms, in those hands, then we're less likely to be frustrated. And
That's so beautiful.
that's the understanding, right?
Absolutely. You are so
Mm,
articulate. I want to just listen to you now.
no. I'm trying, but I just can't get the words out in the smoothest way that you and Vera do. It's so
Oh, come
beautiful. It must be
on.
an American thing. I don't know what it is.
No, you've got the accent too. You can just keep talking.
We
You've
could
got
try
the
our best.
articulation, the wisdom, and the accent. So,
It's probably just because I've been doing these conversations every day that there's something coming out now. Um, but yeah, thank you for bringing those points out. I wanted to see if you could perhaps share a meditation, a prayer, a mantra with
mm,
us, something for 5 or 10 minutes that we could bathe in perhaps for the next, yeah.
mm. Um, One of my favorite meditations my dad actually taught me,
Mm,
and it's a meditation that helps to bring positive healing energy into our own bodies, but then also helps us to offer it out, whether it's to a specific person, whether it's to a specific area, whether it's to the
oh,
world. And so we can all kind of think of, do we want to send this energy to a specific person, a group of people, a community? And so wherever you are, we have quite a few of you. Just go ahead and, unless you're driving, go ahead and close your eyes.
yeah, if you're driving, please don't do that. That's a good point.
And just find a comfortable seat. If you're sitting on a chair, just feel your feet on the ground. And just notice where your hips are contacting either the earth or the seat beneath you. And let your belly become soft. Let your shoulders relax. And then gently push down into your sits bones and let the top of your head extend a little bit higher towards the sky. So your spine lengthens and your shoulders draw slightly back. So gentle opening of the heart area. Just go ahead and take a really big inhale. Fill your entire body with breath. And then a really complete exhale. Draw your belly button all the way back into your spine. And just inhale, filling your low belly. Push your belly out. Fill your mid belly. Fill your upper chest, shoulders all the way to the top. And keep your spine long as you exhale, shoulders, mid belly. And draw your belly button all the way back. Push out your belly, mid belly, upper chest and shoulders, watching your breath with your attention. And exhale, shoulders, mid belly, and empty. And so continue your breath like this. Yoga and Ayurveda teach us that the breath and the mind are so intimately connected. When we focus our attention on our breath, automatically the mind becomes more steady, the mind becomes more peaceful. So continuing with your breath. On your next inhale, just invite all of the healing energy, the color green, the color of nature, into every single cell of your body. And on your exhale, offer this energy out either to a specific person, a community, or to the entire world. So again, with every inhale, filling your entire body, every single cell with love, with nurturing, with healing energy. And with every exhale, offering it out. It may be a different person, a different community, the entire world. And so let's do 3 or 4 more breaths like this. Really focus your attention. The mind is so powerful. And just like our words have an effect, our actions have an effect, also our thoughts have a powerful effect on our own body and on the environment. And so just 2 more full cycles of breath. Inhale, love, healing energy, maybe to a specific part of your body where you're feeling maybe more achy or dis-ease. And your exhale, offer it out, focusing your mind. If it wanders, bring it back. And last breath, filling your entire body. Love, healing energy, loving attention. And your exhale, offering it out. And continuing with your breath, you can soften the technique. And just notice your experience in your own body. Notice the experience in your mind. And it's a beautiful practice that invites us to open our hearts. There's something very powerful about giving. It allows us to receive more deeply. And before we open our eyes, just bring in to your heart something or someone that you're very, very grateful for. And they say that gratitude is the easiest and the fastest way to experience our true nature. What are you grateful for? Don't only think about it, but feel it. Feel that gratitude in your body, in every cell. I'm going to bring one palm to your heart. And just rest your other hand on top of that palm. And gently bow to honor the divine spark that resides within your heart. May we experience that more and more in ourselves. May we see that reality more and more in each person. Divine spark, divine soul. And then slowly open your eyes. I wish we could see all of these people that are watching so we could just practice seeing the divine spark within each one, but I'm honored to get to see the divine spark in you, Radhika.
It's a very beautiful meditation. If you guys appreciated that, please fold your hands with me and offer some kind wishes, some gratitude, and some blessings to the way of our dear Dhyana for spending this time with us and for
Thank
sharing
you.
with us so beautifully. Obviously, we cannot see it through the screen, but please do offer some sincere prayers for her that she may continue to be able to share her wisdom and her grace through all her beautiful practices. And obviously, while you get this opportunity, and we're on Instagram, of course, when you open your eyes, you can hit that love button like there's no tomorrow, and
Aww.
share any encouraging words to encourage our dear Diana that she can, yeah, for sure, be able to not only bring up her wonderful son in this mood as well, but also to be able to share it with many hundreds of thousands, if not millions, across the world. So thank you so much for that meditation. Oh, I think you're still here.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Radhika. And thank you so much for, every day you're taking your time and doing so much amazing work in the world. And the world needs more people like you. And so inspired by what you share and who you are.
Thank you
So
so
thank
much.
you so
Thank
much.
you. It just keeps me out of boardom. If nothing else, it keeps me active. So
It's a
I
good thing to
appreciate everyone
do.
that watches. Yeah, thank you.
It's a good thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to see before we close this conversation, I'll be scrolling through to see if there's any other questions, but maybe if you could share anything, I like to call it tips for our time, tips for the modern man, tips for the modern woman, anything that you feel that people really need to hold on to. If it's obviously going to be self-massage and the warm baths and all the Ayurvedic diet, suggestions that you made. But if there's anything that's really calling out to you that you wish people would acknowledge, or any tips that you have.
And I think that the main thing is that self-care isn't selfish. We need
Oh,
to take care of ourselves so that we can keep showing up in our relationships and in our lives and in our work. So take the time, whatever that means for you, to do things that nourish you. And maybe that's a walk every day. Maybe that's reading a good book or listening to a lecture. Maybe it's taking a bath or doing a self-massage. Like whatever that is for you, things that, like make a list, literally, like make a list, things that nourish you. That when you do these things, you know that you feel nourished. So that in the moments where you're feeling depleted, you don't have to think about it. You just go to your list and you say, okay, I'm going to fill in the blank. Do things that nourish you every day so that we never get to the point of feeling completely depleted. Take care of yourself so that you can keep showing up in your life in a way that's deeply meaningful and in a way that really serves.
wonderful. Self-care is not selfish. There you go. That's the one line to remember, guys. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't think there are any questions coming through, but just a lot of gratitude. Maybe you can read out some gratitude. Loved hearing your voice. in relation to Dhyana, not me, and effortless teachings. Thank you, dearest Mama, reservoir of wisdom. Jack L says, it's a great relief. Self-care isn't selfish. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you also so much. Thank you, Dhyana,
Thank
for taking this
you.
time out to be with us.
My pleasure
Um,
and joy.
I'm sure we'll twist your arm somehow or the other, or squeeze a time in the coming weeks to perhaps have another conversation. I think we'd
I'd be
all
happy
value that.
to.
And please give our best to your family. I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful day filled with grace, and that your son, I don't know what he's doing right now, maybe he's resting, but please send our heartiest, gratitude to him also.
Thank you, Radhika. Thank you all so much. Such a joy, such an honor. And I'll see you soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. For those of you that are tuning in and want more, today, UK time, 6 p.m., and I think, if I'm not wrong, Eastern is 1 p.m., having a conversation with Vish from the Mayapuris. We're going to be speaking about protecting the heart, which is going to be really cool and interesting.
Wow.
And then 7 p.m., I'm jumping straight off from the conversation and onto my harmonium to try and do some kirtan with all of you. So if you're interested in joining us for kirtan, that's at 7 p.m. GMT or 2 p.m. EST. So let us know if you're going to join, and I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. Thank you.
Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe Sham.